Album of the Week, Episode 6. So this week we're talking about Wynton Marsalis, the London Concert. So this is just a number of classic concertos for trumpet, most notably the Haydn and the Hummel trumpet concerto. There's kind of like the big three in the trumpet concerto world, which is Haydn, Hummel, and Neruda, of which the Neruda is definitely least played. I've played both the Haydn and the Hummel before. I'm actually planning on playing the Haydn, the entire concerto, for my senior recital, which is coming up, which is why I'm doing this album, just to get a listen to of Wynton's take on specifically the Haydn. In addition to the Haydn and the Hummel, we've got Leopold Mozart's Concerto for Trumpet and Orchestra in D major, as well as Johann Friedrich Fasch's Concerto for Trumpet, two oboes, strings, and continuo in D major, both on piccolo trumpet, I believe. Now, along with Wynton Marsalis, we have the English Chamber Orchestra, directed by Raymond Leppard, it looks like. I will link the Spotify link below. This one is on Spotify, and I will also link where you can purchase this album below. So Wynton Marsalis doesn't really do classical music anymore. I shouldn't say he doesn't do it, but he doesn't record it or really promote it much at all. I can't think of the last time I've heard Wynton play classically. Wynton is probably the most famous trumpet player alive today, I'd say. He is the only one to ever win unless things have changed, but at the time he won it, he was the only one to ever win a Grammy for both classical music as well as jazz music in the same year. He is one of the best trumpet players who has ever lived, and is definitely, you can't argue he's not in like the top 5 of today's world. He's a leading innovator not only in trumpet but in music and the arts as well, and for that I think you can definitely look up to him. There's a lot of controversy around Wynton, mostly because of his take on jazz music, and his classification of jazz isn't necessarily what I personally believe, as well as what a lot of people believe. So in Wynton's definition, you have to be swinging the eighth notes, yet there has to be improvisation. I think there's one more thing. So it's very classic. Just listen to anything from the Jazz at Lincoln Center, and they all fit Wynton's criteria. Wynton is the artistic director currently of the Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra in New York City. So this is an older album of his. Looks like it was recorded in 1993 and published in 1994 by Sony Music. So I'm a huge Wynton fan. He's not necessarily my favorite trumpet player as far as like sound goes. He's definitely not. With all this being said, Wynton is a phenomenal player, so keep that in mind. And Wynton, this guy right here, is the reason I am a trumpet player today, I think. There's a video, and I'll link the video below, but I remember it was in 7th grade. My teacher, Ryan Smith, showed me a video of Wynton Marsalis playing the Carnival of Venice. And that blew me away. I didn't know that was even possible on trumpet. And because of this man, I am playing trumpet, and I'm a trumpet performance major, and I plan on making a living playing trumpet. So Wynton means a lot to me. Whether or not I look up to him for everything, he truly changed my life. So, I like Wynton Marsalis. Even though I don't agree with him on everything, and that's true for so many people in my life, and there's always something you can grab from someone, even if you don't agree with them 100% on everything. But his trumpet playing changed my life. I'll leave it at that. So before we get into Wynton's specific playing, I'd like to talk a little bit about the 4 concertos mentioned. Obviously, I know more about the Haydn and Hummel than the Fasch and the Mozart pieces, but I'd like to just go through each one and give my thoughts on them. So A lot of this I'm pulling from Wikipedia. I won't link that below, but that's where I got it from. Franz Joseph Haydn wrote the Haydn Trumpet Concerto in 1796 for Anton Weidinger. Anton Weidinger was the gentleman who invented the keyed trumpet. I wish I could show you one. I don't have one. But before there were valves on a trumpet, they were keys, almost like a saxophone. And that was the in-between instrument, if you want to think of it, from the piston, the modern piston valve trumpet we know today, and like the bugle before. So the keyed trumpet was able to hit all of the different chromatic pitches, and after Weidinger invented this, Haydn wanted to make a concerto showing off the instrument. So it shows off the low register of the trumpet as well as the high register of the trumpet, going up to a high concert D flat, I believe, if I'm remembering that correctly. It's generally played on an E flat trumpet. That's what it was written for. And it's probably Haydn's most famous concerto. That's bias coming from me, but his trumpet concerto is huge in the trumpet repertoire. There's a lot more on the Haydn Trumpet Concerto that you can do for yourself. I'm just giving a broad overview of all of these just to give you a little background information. I could make a whole video on just the Haydn Trumpet Concerto, but that's just a broad overview. Please do your own research and learn more about that. Next is the Leopold Mozart's Trumpet Concerto in D major. It was written in 1762. It's in 2 movements. Leopold Mozart is Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart's father, so different Mozarts. That's all the information on that one. Again, you could look more into it. Now with the Fasch, I couldn't really find much of any information on it at all. I was looking into it, and I found that the number assigned to it is FWVL:D1. That's basically all the information I could find on this concerto. So if you can find anything else, please comment below. Let me know. Link the website or whatever you're using to find it. Johann Fasch was a German violinist and composer. That's about all the information I could find on it. And then ending off with the Hummel Trumpet Concerto. So Johann Nepomuk Hummel, I just say Hummel, wrote the concerto. Again, he wrote this for Weidinger. It's not quite as popular as the Haydn, but it's probably number 2 in the trumpet repertoire as far as concertos go. It was written in 1803, and it was performed on New Year's Day, 1804, to mark Hummel's entrance into the court orchestra of Nicholas II, Prince Esterhazy, as Haydn's successor. So I learned something new too. I also found this interesting. There are places primarily in the second movement where Weidinger is believed to have changed the music because of the execution on the instrument, and it's unknown whether this was in agreement with Hummel. So what we might be playing today in the second movement might have been changed by Weidinger, not the original composer. So it's interesting to think like what it was before. I also found it was interesting that this piece was originally written in E major. It's generally played in E flat major because the modern trumpet's a lot easier to play for us in E flat rather than E major. So yeah, that's my little history lesson of the 4 concertos. So one thing I love about Wynton's classical playing is his articulation. It's very crisp. I love his piccolo playing particularly. He's one of my favorite piccolo trumpet players. For sure. He has a beautiful sound and articulation, and I think he just matches the style beautifully. There's actually an album of, I believe, Baroque trumpet and voice, which was a lot of like Scarlatti, however you pronounce that. I'll try and link that below. I'll just do the Spotify link for that one. That's one of my favorite albums. It's so good, so good. But that's kind of all I wrote, actually, on Wynton's take on it. There's some other notes that I personally took for the Haydn, but I don't need to go into that in detail for you guys. But if you want it, go follow me on Instagram @AdamWorkeyMusic. Shoot me a DM, and I'd be more than happy to talk a little bit more about it. So yeah, that's this album of the week. I almost forgot, we need track of the week. So for this track of the week, I'm only going to pick one of the 4 concertos. I'm not going to pick like a movement within. For this one, I was going to pick the Haydn, but I really like the Fasch. So that's the album of the week. Is Johann Friedrich Fasch's Concerto for Trumpet, 2 oboes, strings, and continuing in D major. So that is the track from the album of the week. So there's my take. Please purchase this album. I'll link that below to add to your own collection. Now for next week, as I mentioned last time, I believe, I'm picking a lot of albums that I'm going to be, with pieces on them that I'm going to be using for my senior recital. So for next week, we're going to be looking at Trumpet Concertos by Maurice Andre. Guys, I screwed up, but we're still going to do this as the next album of the week. This is Maurice Andre's Trumpet Concertos. I thought I had found it on Spotify, but I guess I didn't. And I just looked. This is not on Spotify. There's another one with him playing the Haydn, but it's not on this album, which is a bummer. We're still going to do it. It has the Hummel, but not the Haydn, which is a little unfortunate. But we're still going to do it because I promised myself we're going to do it. So I will link this below. It won't be on Spotify, so you'll have to purchase it or find it. It might be on Apple Music or Amazon Music. I'm not subscribed to those, so you'd have to look for yourself. But it's called Maurice Andre Plays Trumpet Concertos. Looks like it's published by Musical Heritage Society. So that's a little bummer for me because I thought this had the Haydn on it. So I need to buy some more albums with my recital music because it looks like I have none at the moment. But for next week, we'll be taking a look at this album still. Yeah, it's with the Berlin Philharmonic, so that should be good. Anyways, so always look before you plan stuff. Whatever. So this has been episode 6 of Album of the Week. Comment below, let me know how I can make these better. If there's any albums you want me to review, I'd love to check out some new music anytime, any chance I get. Be sure to hit the like button. Helps me with the YouTube algorithm and helps me get this content out to other people. And then also subscribe to me if you want to keep up to date with me. I do this series. I have a vlog. I do random reviews and other stuff like that. So I also want to quick mention my Instagram. Again, that also has albums. I post an album Monday through Friday. Not a review or anything, just what I'm listening to on my Instagram saved story. So be sure to check that out. And I'll see you next week.